Coming to you live from $1 Million Studios, your boys, Chris Spizak,
a.k.a. the White Devil,
and the benchmark of professional wrestling, Mr. Silky Baines,
a.k.a. the Black Angel.
Speeds in the Benchmark show on a Thursday night, August the... What is today? August the 19th, is it?
It is.
I forgot to check the actual date.
It is. Doesn't matter.
Come on, Silky. Where you at on this, man? You had one job. August the 16th, 2018. Thank you so much for being with us. Everybody joining us on Periscope, joining us on the YouTubes. We appreciate that. And also to those of you listening to us after the fact on the podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play.
You know we're on Spotify, too?
And we are on Spotify. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I remember putting that shit in there a while ago, but I never did double check and make sure it was good.
So go to Spotify.
Go to Spotify and check us out there as well. We will be joined shortly by Mr. Warren Hayes to break down this weekend's NXT Takeover Brooklyn. So that will be a good thing. Excited about that. And, got to get our fancy titles in here so everybody knows who we are. Spees, Benchmark. It's us. You know who we are by now. Thank you to everybody who is with us. Badass Shirt Spees. Yes, you know this, Juanito. The NWO got to represent there. So, looking forward to talking some NXT. Yeah, got to go black and white. I'm not doing any of those other bullshit factions.
You know, Wolfpack would be acceptable.
Wolfpack was all right.
It would be acceptable.
It kind of went downhill after that.
Yeah.
So, want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. First and foremost, got to get those YouTube subscriptions up. So thanks to all of you who have already subscribed there. If you haven't, tinyurl.com/Spees Benchmark. Silky pointing at my junk here again. It's a little uncomfortable. But make sure you head over there, folks. And you'd be doing us a big solid trying to monetize things over on the YouTube channel. So getting those subscriptions up would help us enormously.
These bills need to get paid.
Indeed, they do. And if you're watching after the fact, do us a favor. Like the video, leave a little comment for us. All that stuff helps with their little algorithms and all that bullshit that we got to put up with. It's one of those things.
My hat does not suck. It is awesome.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Remains to be seen.
And thank you, WWE Ever P12.
There you
my
go.
My shirt is awesome.
Yeah, they're liking it. Get the Tables is with us. Thank you for being with us.
Get the table.
So, before we bring on our special guest, wanted to remind you guys one more time, we got a very special episode coming tomorrow night from Bryan College Station from the High Voltage Show, brought to you by the good folks over at Lions Pride Productions, where we will be joined by Impact Wrestling X Division champion Brian Cage.
The Machine.
The Machine will be with us live on the show tomorrow, Friday, August the 17th. So if you've got questions for us, hit us up on our Twitter page at Spees Benchmark. We've got a post there where you can send us questions if you have questions for Brian Cage. And very excited to sit down with him. He's a very cool guy. I've watched several interviews with him in preparation for our interview with him. And really super guy. So we're very much looking forward to having him with us. So not exactly sure about the time. We got to kind of wait and see how things play out tomorrow.
But we'll be sending out a tweet. So just follow us, Speeds Benchmark, so you can get the time.
That's
it's like a secret thing.
And even better, when you subscribe on the YouTube channel, turn on those notifications.
Boom.
Because then as soon as we get it, as soon as we know, you will know. So enough of that shit, Silky. How about we bring on our special guest, shall we?
We shall.
Let's do it. He is the host of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and there he is, folks. Mr. Warren Hayes. You can see him on Fightful.com. You can see him on his YouTube channel as well. Periscope. He's all over the place. Anywhere that we are, he is. And I love the backdrop.
I do not.
Referencing the fact that I did, in fact, beat Silky in
we're gonna have
the basketball shootout.
We're going to find a way to film this so the fans can see me giving you that work on the basketball court.
Yeah, because it happened before, right?
Real basketball court.
It did not.
A real basketball court.
What you got, Warren? How are you, buddy? You're great, but we don't hear you for some reason. Or
wonderful, cuddly guy that I just want to hang out with more, But when you tell the story about the basketball, and it's like, the computer, it's the computer that
it was. You weren't there.
They took it's the machine that was against me, man, and it just fell through.
See, Warren knows what's up.
Come on, man, that's lame.
Warren knows exactly what's up, and that's why we have him on the show.
he wasn't there, first of all, but I am glad he is here on the show.
Good evening to everybody joining us on the Periscopes there. Thank you very much for being with us, and those of you on the YouTubes as well. David's here, Brooks here, MGB Wrestling Podcast is here, and Darren Kirby is here. Thank you very much. It's great to see all you guys. Love the fact that all you guys are here. And Warren, we love it that you're here as well. So first and foremost, let's put you over right before we get started here. Over your left shoulder there is the picture of Mr. Sean, who is the man over at Fightful.com, Sean Ross Sapp. So tell us about what you do for Fightful and where the folks can see you online to check out your show.
Well, I mean, Fightful.com is a combat sports news site, so you can get all your wrestling news, MMA, boxing. As long as people are hitting each other, you can find that news there. Sean is the managing editor there, and I actually got this mask because I joined up to FightfulSelect.com, which is the subscription service, which is where you find most of my face most of the time, because that's where I do most of my content for Fightful Select. So you can sign up there. You get to see me do my 205 NXT weekly recap show. Sean and I, we do monthly recaps. Sean does a ton of podcasts on top of that. It's a great subscription service. You should go check that out, FightfulSelect.com. Otherwise, when I'm not being shackled by the man, I'm kidding.
Shackled by the man.
You can follow me I do my own things on my own side at tinyurl/Mr. Warren Hayes, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes as well. I am on Twitter quite a bit. Ask my fiance. She will passionately agree.
Yeah, I want to talk about your fiance not talk about your fiance specifically.
Sure, let's talk about her.
But I found it very intriguing when you kept talking online about the fact that she is not a wrestling fan.
Oh God, no.
As neither of our wives are wrestling fans either, but she was very mesmerized by the G1. Yeah, she actually she got into it.
Like 100%. Like I was actually covering the G1 for FightfulSelect.com. Go sign up at $5 a month. And so I get up like at 2 a.m. right? And then next thing, so it's like 3 a.m. She'd come downstairs. She's, oh, Misty. I was like, what the hell are you doing awake? I told you I'm watching the wrestling for the. Well, now I can't fall asleep. Well, come have a seat. I have some coffee made. Here you go. Starts watching it. Starts getting into it. But you know what got her into it?
What?
Hiroshi Tanahashi, man.
Tanahashi. There you go. That's our boy.
It's the hair.
It's the hair.
I'm on a podcast. For real, it's the hair.
She saw him. She said, "Who is that guy?" I said, "Oh, it's Tanahashi. He's he's like a legend. You know John Cena by name. Yeah, well, he's kind of like the Japanese John Cena. My God, the hair." And she was completely mesmerized. She watched the whole thing so much that she has a favorite wrestler now. It's Tanahashi. She was thrilled
because of the hair.
Find out he won.
And thanks to all of you who are sending us the super hearts there. We appreciate that on Periscope. So. Yeah, it's always good to hear people finding something about wrestling that they like. You know, my wife sits in while we're watching it here at the house and occasionally chimes in about something. She's a little disappointed that The Rock is no longer around. Yeah. That's her boy.
Well, you see the counterpoint here. Then I watch Raw on Monday nights, right? So I'm sitting in the living room and I'm watching Raw. And this one night during the G1, Mojo Rawley comes out. He's doing his entrance. He's doing his not supposed to be hype entrance, right?
Right.
And he comes in and she walks in at the exact moment. She stares at the TV and she says, "Who's that guy?" So that's Mojo. Oh. I like the Japanese better.
There you go. See, Mojo running people away from WWE. So
there you go.
Turnbuckle Chick is with us. She likes Tanahashi as well. She thinks he's gorgeous.
Good for her.
The girls like Tanahashi. See, we watched it in a room full of guys, and all of us were like, what the fuck's up with that guy's hair?
Yeah.
But the women are like, oh, it's so great. We love the hair.
I actually stopped watching wrestling with my wife years ago because it just became too uncomfortable because she loved like basic thugonomics, John Cena, and Randy Orton when he was a lot younger. And I'm sorry, especially with the stories that are out, I just don't want to look at Randy Orton's dick because that's all she was doing. And that's some shit that once it's said, you can't help.
You can't unsay
She's
that.
She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, you know you're married to me, right? You know, I'm developing a complex here.
Well, tell me about it. You see the life-size cutout of The Rock that I have sitting outside the $1 Million Studios here that my wife brought over. It's pretty crazy. Sasha Rain's joining us here on the periscopes as well. We're going to get to NXT eventually, I promise, Warren, but I got to ask about this Dave Meltzer thing, because holy shit, did that turn into such a big deal. I actually listened to the comments, and if those of you, somebody talking about Tanahashi having hair plugs, that's wrong.
But I think he does.
He probably
like those
does.
Braids that he has, he has like 60
they're too perfect.
braids on each side of his head. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's not human.
Yeah,
his
they're
hair
too
defies
perfect.
physics.
Yeah, absolutely too perfect. But everybody freaked out about Meltzer, and really, I'm of the opinion that, because I read what he said, and I think I tweeted this yesterday, you know, after reading everybody's responses about what Meltzer said, I totally expected that he came out and just called Peyton Royce like a fat, ugly bitch, and it wasn't anything like that at all. And I noticed that people had conveniently left out parts of his comment to where it sounded a lot worse than it did. I don't know, is this just me being a fucking middle-aged white man and not getting the big deal here? Because, I mean, it wasn't the smartest thing in the world to say, but as far as something that is so horribly offensive for people to go apeshit like they did, what was your take on the whole Meltzer debacle? He's carefully measuring his words here.
No, well, my first and foremost opinion towards this is that as a dude, I don't think I'm qualified to come forward and actually form an appropriate response. And all I can actually talk about is from experience, and maybe we're getting a little grim here, not grim, but a little serious to start off. But my fiance, I've been with her for the better part of 20 years. We haven't been engaged for 20 years. Don't worry, but we've been together for the better part of 20. And when I met her, like, she was a ray of light. She was, you know, the kind of girl where you're like, man, what are you doing with a schmuck like me, right? And
so you and I can both relate.
Yeah.
we can all relate.
Yeah, I think we all
amongst
are
us
way
schmucks.
out of our league.
Yes, definitely outkick the coverage. But anyway,
and she's always had body image issues for the entirety of her life. She's given me 2 beautiful children. Like, her body to me is more than just a thing. It is something that has created, that's given something to the world. And even on top of that, she can't get over the way she looks. The issue isn't necessarily specifically Meltzer said something disgusting, is that Meltzer used terminology, words, that continuously that help promote and erode away. That's the word I was looking for. Help erode away at women's self-confidence, because the more you hear something of that nature, the more it sticks. When you're a kid, it's not someone who yells at you, "You're a fucking idiot."
right.
That will instill into your brain that you're a fucking idiot. It's someone just telling you very snidely, very backhandedly, very innocuously that you're an idiot, that you'll eventually begin to believe that you are indeed an idiot.
Right.
So and that's where I want to leave this, because on my end, because this is something that I've lived through. I have a 10-year-old daughter who both my fiance and I do not want her to go down the same path she has. So it's a subject that's very sensitive to me.
Sure.
That I feel I know about, only because because I've been involved in this for most of my adult life. Otherwise, I think that as guys, and let's flip this around. I think that as males, we also have that same kind of pressure, but on other issues, you know, like being a provider, being strong, you know,
absolutely.
being super confident.
Sure.
And the minute that we start failing in that, and that we don't meet these standards, then we start to sort of question ourselves as well. So, you know what I mean? It's
yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I understand. I'm not going to press the issue because I understand your personal connection to it and everything. It was one of those things where I looked at it and from what I saw, I was like, that's a pretty dick move, Meltzer. And then when I listened to it, the thing that people got hung up on was he said that she was lighter or something like that, I think was the term that he used. That she was lighter when she was in NXT. And it was so kind of off the cuff, almost like They just blew right past it. I mean, it was just he just threw it in there and they moved right along. And I don't know. It was odd. It's an odd reaction, but you get that on Twitter sometimes.
Yep.
He had connected it to the fact that he found her more attractive in NXT.
Right.
You know, she was lighter. She was more attractive. She was lighter. So that's where the thing is. And like I said, it seems innocuous, but when, you know, one grain of sand isn't anything, but when it's a beach that comes at you all the time, that's when it starts eroding away at you.
Yeah, and you know, I give him credit for the fact that I really feel like if Peyton Royce hadn't said anything, nobody would have said shit to Meltzer about this. I don't think anybody would have even noticed.
Yeah.
But good for him for, you know, speaking. Good for her, number one. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying what you feel, even if people don't agree with you.
In Meltzer's defense, though, which is weird to say, the coordinated attack, though, by all of the WWE stars, though, afterwards, fine that they're that they're sticking up for Peyton.
Sure,
I'm absolutely fine like this. But the one thing that you have to keep in mind every time that something like this happens, that a media sensitive subject happens, WWE superstars wait for a cue. Before posting anything.
Yeah.
So there's someone up in PR or wherever that told the superstars, you guys take this dude out. Yeah. So there was someone that was that had a score to settle, I think, with old Dave here because they let the wolves. They let the dogs out.
Yeah, they certainly did. You want to get caught up on some of the comments we've been mentioning here. Brooke, of course, thinks Dave should have kept his mouth shut. And MGB, isn't the difference, though, that these were stories and were shown to be wrong? This was a comment he actually believed. There's a good longer conversation going on here. But anyway, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I maintain that we are in the opinion business.
Yeah. And
people aren't going to agree with our opinions all the time. And when somebody disagrees, then it brings up a opportunity for us to have a conversation about it. And, you know, hopefully... I mean, if Meltzer's going to throw that kind of shit out there, he's got to be able to deal with the consequences as well. So let's get over to NXT.
Or you take him to the basketball court and you make sure that Silky doesn't sink any at all. You know, that's another thing you can do.
Which is not as difficult as you would think. So
this is bullshit.
Yeah, well, because when you get Silky out there, it's
a goddamn abortion and a disgrace.
That's exactly what it is.
I hate you.
So you know, shit happens like that.
I really do.
Let's get over to NXT.
All of you.
We've got Takeover Brooklyn coming up again this weekend. Now, settle an argument for us here, aside from who the better basketball player is, because we've already settled that one. I maintain that Ricochet will be a WWE champion one day. Silky maintains that Ricochet will be a 205 Live champion one day, but that's probably going to be the peak of it for him. You watch a lot of NXT because of, well, I mean, so you're a fan, but also for the show that you do for the good folks at FightfulSelect.com. So, what's the ceiling for a guy like Ricochet? Where do you think? Where do you think he could end up?
This honestly, I'm split between you guys, and I think that because I think the only element that would keep Ricochet doesn't have a ceiling, if you ask me. He's championship material all the way to the top. The only thing that will keep him from reaching the top will be if Vince McMahon is still involved in booking on main or not. If Triple H is handed the book entirely, no problem. We're gonna slowly be rid of the necessary the 6'9", 300-pound guys, the Roman Reigns, the Brock Lesnar's that necessarily have to be your big guys. We're already seeing it in a certain way, you know, with the WWE title with AJ Styles. He's not a refrigerator. He's he's a nimble guy, not super jacked. I think it's entirely possible. Look, the guy, I don't think he has a ceiling.
So where do you disagree? Because you obviously, and who am I looking at here? The Zombie Master. Ricochet is WWE's future. The next big thing, in my opinion. See, there's a guy that knows what's up. I agree with him. But anyway, you disagree.
Yes.
Because why?
I disagree because with his style is not conducive to the WWE product. And his high-risk style, that's what they signed him for. But that's also not a marketable tool because there's high risk means there's high risk of injuries.
Fair.
And they're not going to want to invest and put the title on someone who could, on any move, blow his knee. Like you saw, like remember Sin Cara, simple dive over the top rope, blew out his knee, came back, did the same thing. Like, I mean, I'm not comparing Sin Cara and Ricochet like as talents.
No, I see what you're saying.
But their style is definitely very similar.
Well, what about Warren's point about AJ Styles? Because, he's doing springboard, 450s and shit
he's
like
selective.
that.
I mean, he does a springboard 450 and then the forearm. And that's really about it. You don't see him do too many dives. If he is, it's a simple plancha over the top rope, very easy, very relative as far as dives go, pretty much the safest one you can do.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's good at creating that illusion that he's a real high flyer without actually having to high fly.
Do a lot of high flying. I got you. And to Ricochet's credit, he mentioned about how he's really cut back on a lot of the shit that he used to do.
Says the motherfucker who did a front flip over the top rope and landed on his feet.
Yeah, but that was
just for
that was
promo
some superhero shit. So yeah. I'm not gonna hate on him for that.
I'm not gonna lie, my jaw dropped.
My brother's got to get over.
Yeah, I mean,
holy shit.
I mean, that was awesome.
We were all Velveteen Dream, just looking at the screen like, but did that fucking guy just do that for real? Darren Kirby doesn't think he's world champion material either, but we'll see what happens. So
it's not that he's not world champion material. It's just that
in
I
that
don't think
particular
he will
system
make it to that level.
Do you agree with
definitely world champion material? He's just I don't think he's going to get there.
Do you agree with what Warren said that if we move on from the Vince McMahon regime, supposing somebody like Triple H comes in, could you see him at that point?
At that point, I mean, I think he'd have to tame down the style so much that it would be hard for him to at first get over because, again, fans love the flips that he does. They love his high-flying style. And if you change that because you want him to be marketable and you want him to have longevity because you want him as your world champion,
you're taking away what makes him Ricochet.
Exactly.
What were you going to say, Warren?
And I'm in 100% agreement with what Silky said, despite the fact that he can't shoot a basket properly.
See, there you go.
It's
a beautiful thing.
The fact, look, just take a look at Shinsuke Nakamura and what he did in NXT versus what he's doing on main now. Once you're on main, you have to scale back because they're investing so much into. Remember one thing: WWE doesn't see itself as a wrestling company, right? It sees itself as a media company.
That's right. Absolutely.
They're selling properties, they're selling IPs, they're selling characters. So if and when, I should not if, but when Ricochet ends up on main, of course he's going to be scaled back, exactly like AJ Styles does. AJ Styles does the 450 once in a blue moon, right? Like his only high flying move, like Silky says, is the phenomenal forearm, really. Otherwise, it's normal for them to scale back, and that's kind of why they're in NXT as well, because he has pulled back a lot, and he's been injured since he's been on NXT.
This is true, yeah.
So he has to dial it back because, look, this guy's destined for main, and he's going to be huge. He's going to have his impressive matches, and then slowly we're going to die down a little bit. And that's normal. That's the WWE way.
Well, see, and you fit right into the crew that we have. A lot of our guys come over from Dr. Huge at Dr. Huge Show, one of our big fans, and we're a big fan of his as well. You're preaching to the choir. We say this a lot. This is a business at the end of the day. This is a multi-billion-dollar with a B corporation, and they got to protect their assets. And guys don't like being called assets sometimes, but that's what they are. It's exactly what they are.
The thing, I think the main difference is NXT is all recorded and all that. That live budget is something fierce. You know what I mean? Like, it is, every second you're on is money being spent. And they're not going to want you to risk injury because they're paying a shitload of money to put you in that spot. And that's why, that's my main reason for making all the jokes about Ricochet going to 205 Live.
Right.
Which actually probably wouldn't be a bad move either because that can more life into 205 Live. They've done leaps and bounds from when it started because it was almost unwatchable because, you saw the same guys do the same matches all the time. So
yeah, and somebody just asked it, isn't 205 the safest place for him in terms of he can get over that style a little bit better. He's too big for that, man.
I mean,
he's too good.
But I'd rather him do that and excel than go to the main roster and be like Shinsuke Nakamura or Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Or any other motherfucker that came up from NXT with ass loads of talent and they're doing absolutely dick with.
Yeah.
Like, that's my opinion at least.
So looking at Ricochet's match coming up at Takeover Brooklyn, he's got the North American Championship match against Adam Cole. And I've thrown out my opinion about Adam Cole in the past. I want to hear yours, Warren. What's your take on Adam Cole, Undisputed Era, what they're doing down there in NXT?
Well, if we're talking about guys who are made for main roster, if we're talking about the future of NXT, of WWE, you've got it in Adam Cole right here, right now. I mean, this guy he's golden money. And right on it, like right now, the Undisputed Era is one of the best reasons to watch NXT because they hold so much gold. They're the jocks you hate, who just have all the belts, but
and
you
they
can't
are
help
so obnoxious.
Cheer for them because they're so damn good.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And I think that could also be their downfall when it comes to it because they are that damn good that it's hard to hate them, and you can't. Like, I think before they go to the main roster, they need to turn them face.
Yeah,
so
that was where I was going with this.
And I think, in my opinion, I think the transition will be better if they're face when they go up because these NXT fans are so invested in the guys that they're genuinely happy that they make the main roster. So then you get like a Bobby Roode who was like fucking hated, but everyone respected and loved him for what he did. So when he went up to the main roster, they loved him. And it just didn't work. It's not working for him.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you've said it before. It's kind of innate in us as NXT fans to cheer for these guys when they get up to the main roster because we're happy for them that they made it, and it's a good thing to see them up there. But at the same time, it doesn't do you any favors if you're a heel, and that's specifically what I want to talk to you about, Warren, because we've talked about this on other shows, talked about it on our show. Adam Cole is a guy that's supposed to be a heel. He's so ridiculously popular with the fans. He's so over with the fans. I don't know. He just seems like one of those guys that I don't want to say that necessarily he's being misused as a heel, but I've made this comparison before, and maybe it's a fair one, maybe it's an unfair one. We crucify guys like Roman Reigns for not being able to get over as faces when the company is pushing them as faces. And yet, on the other hand, you've got guys like AJ Styles when he was a heel. Never got over as a heel. Everybody loved AJ Styles. You got Adam Cole. He's supposed to be a heel. He's never going to get over as a heel. Everybody loves Adam Cole. Is there a double standard there as far as the way we view certain guys?
I have a theory, but I think we can actually go back at least 20 years and think back to Shawn Michaels. Back in the day, because Shawn Michaels, let's not forget, when he got his big break, he was a heel. But slowly as things went on, Vince McMahon was confronted with the fact that, look, people are actually digging this guy. I'm going to have to turn him face. So this problem, because it's a good problem to have, if you ask me.
It is a good problem to have.
It's nothing new, I don't think. But my theory is, again, if you consider, first and foremost, if you accept the idea that WWE doesn't view itself as a wrestling promotion, but as a media company, I don't think they care about heels and faces. They want reactions. They want merch sales. And I think their main experiment in this is Roman Reigns. Because regardless of what they do with him, they're not going to get the exact reaction they want, but that's not the point.
But
they want
does
to put
Roman
him
Reigns
forward.
push merch? I mean, I'd be interested to see numbers because, like, when you watch the hard campaign, you're hard pressed to find that many people in Roman Reigns stuff. We went recently here, and while I'm in line, I think I saw one person buy that fucking vest for like $50. But other than that, you were hard pressed to find anyone buying. Everyone's buying like Seth Rollins shit. Braun Strowman, Finn Balor.
Well, if you go by what Meltzer says, and he's one of the few guys that reports on these kind of things, Roman's been near the top of merch sales for quite some time. I mean, he's been number 2 behind Cena for quite a while. AJ Styles was pushing up there a little bit as well. And
let's not forget he's tailor-made for kids, right?
And that was the other thing.
And I don't want to be. And this is not disparaging. This is just fact. A child will look at this guy and be like, "Whoa!"
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And they tailor so much of the product to kids.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely sells the image. I mean, he's one. When I was training tugboat, told me, you want to have that air of like something big, like when you walk into a place without even knowing you, know that you are somebody, and he definitely has that. Like, if you didn't watch wrestling and you ran into Roman Reigns at a fucking gas station, you would be like, I don't know who that guy is, but I'm pretty sure he's probably somebody famous.
Yeah,
and then we could add into. Sorry, I didn't want to.
No, go ahead.
We can also push forward and look at Samoa Joe and Rusev as well. Samoa Joe is another super example of a heel, but when we see him, we get excited because we love Samoa Joe. We love his work ethic. We like what he represents. And Rusev has been over for the better part of a year as a babyface, but are they or are they not pulling the trigger on the babyface turn now? We don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But to me, I don't think they care all that much. They just want the reaction, and then whatever the storyline develops, however the storyline develops, it will develop as so.
Yeah, and it's frustrating for us who have been wrestling fans for a long time, and we're looking for those great feuds, those great storylines, things like that, because as we are fond of saying here, the simpler the better a lot of times.
And sure.
It tends to work out, so we like to see more of it. Let's get to the women's title picture. Silky in particular, I'm kind of with him on this one. We've kind of lamented the state of the women's division in NXT. We've got Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane in the rematch of the Mae Young Classic finals from last year. What's your take on the women's division as it stands right now? You think they're in good shape down there, or is there work to be done?
They're in a reconstruction phase right now. That's what's been happening since they called up Asuka, and then shortly thereafter they called up Ember Moon. Honestly, I was surprised that they didn't keep Ember in NXT as a strong babyface foil to Shayna for at least a couple of more months. I thought she got called up a little too quickly, not because she's not talented and she's not deserving it, because hell, she's outshining most of the women's roster on Raw right now. I mean, she's doing it. But as far as the women's division in NXT goes, it's a transitional phase we're going through. We have our champion, which is Shayna Baszler, who is probably one of the 2 most credible women who can carry the belt, the other one being Kairi.
Right.
After that, well, and it's again not disparaging the talent of the Bianca Belairs or the Candice LeRae's, especially in the case of Candice. If you're even remotely aware of what she did on the indie circuit beforehand, you're like, give this woman all the belts.
Yeah.
But she still has to be introduced to the universe. She has to be she has to adopt the WWE style. So.
And I don't think they did her any favors interjecting her in the Gargano Ciampa storyline.
Don't get me started on that.
I mean, it's
because she's Johnny Gargano's girlfriend.
Yeah,
that's
Johnny
Gargano's wife.
Yeah, it might as well just introduce her as Candice Gargano.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all people care about right now. Because
do you remember? Let's give a parenthesis here since we're talking about it, and this subject always gets me. I'm boiling, man. You remember when they did that spot where she was on she was just outside the ring and Johnny was on the apron and Tommaso pushed him off the apron and he landed on Candice. And then she was sprawled out on the floor and they had to call in
EMT,
medical officials. You're like, Jesus Christ, she just took a bump, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I've literally seen you get super kicked.
Her job. She's a wrestler, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
She's not like Miss Elizabeth or some shit.
Yeah.
She was an actual fucking wrestler, and that hurt her. And then, 2 weeks later, she's in a match, and it's like, okay, how can this bitch even win? I mean, if she fucking got knocked out.
Just from somebody falling on her outside the ring,
exactly.
They're going to do a lot more than fall on her in the ring. So,
I mean,
they
guys,
just totally tanked
you so hard. Silky, I am sorry.
Don't erase it. Don't you dare erase it. No. Oh, what have you done?
Silky made the shot. What am I talking
There
about?
you go.
All right, well, welcome back to NoFX Fan. We're glad to have you here. Those of you who are joining us on Periscope, we hope you'll share this with your followers, retweet out there on Twitter. We still got about a half hour with Warren Hayes here talking some NXT TakeOver. Getting to a couple of the comments here. Somebody mentioned on here that surprised Nikki Cross didn't get called up yet. She was one of the ones where you felt like, okay,
I don't know why they didn't call her up with Sanity. I think she works better as the unhinged female part of that group than to be like solo. Like I think, and we've had this discussion when they had the last match, the last takeover. Nikki Cross is about the only legitimate person I can see right now who can give Shayna and possibly take the belt from Shayna.
Right.
They rushed it though. Like they should have let that boil over for a while. Let Shayna run through everybody and then come to Nikki. Because I mean, if you basically hit him with your best shot and you fail, so now what do? How do you get this title off of Shayna?
Yeah.
And you see the thing with Nikki, and you're absolutely right. Not only was she great with Sanity, but she was the glue. She was the color that made Sanity. Otherwise,
totally
you see
agree.
it right now. They're just three dudes now, right?
Yeah.
Nikki added that thing. At first you could say, oh, okay, it's the crazy valet, but no. She's not the crazy valet. She's part of this group, and that's what made Sanity so awesome in NXT.
Yeah. I mean, she was honestly the only legitimate crazy person. Like when you look at how they were on NXT, she was the only crazy one. Like Eric Young was like a mastermind. He's the one that thought of everything. Alexander Wolf, whatever the fuck that dude's
Alexander
name.
Wolf.
Yeah.
I think his role was to be pale.
Yeah, he was pale.
And succeeded admirably.
He was a tall guy that was very athletic and pulled it out in various moments. And then you had Killian Dane, a big motherfucker who was just huge for no fucking reason.
Yep.
And hairy too. So
yes, and he is very hairy, and that's gross too.
So
going back to MGB podcast, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Suki. He said going back to our discussion on merch moving. April, apparently, Wrestle Talk said Cena was number 1, Reigns and AJ tied at number 2, and Finn Balor number 3.
What the hell is Cena getting number 1?
Cena is so
on TV anymore.
Hey, listen, he's number 1, and it's not even close. Yeah. I mean, nobody is close to Cena. He is light years ahead of everybody else. That guy he moves merch like nobody's business. So, who do you give the edge to this weekend, Warren? We're gonna put you on the spot here. Who you got to win the women's championship?
Shayna retains.
You think Shayna retains?
I think it makes the most sense going into because after that, the next pay-per-view for Shayna is going to be Evolution, and I think it makes sense. Honestly, she's as far as champions go, she's credible. She looks good. Like she has improved so much in the last year.
Yes.
It's bananas. And
she
her
is
personality
what Ronda Rousey
during
could
her
be.
During her feud with Ember Moon, the personality that she developed there was astoundingly good. She was threatening and just seething with confidence and this bullying arrogance. It was amazing, and she's only getting better. She's a super credible champion going into to Evolution, and I think that's what we have to look for. And I just honestly, it could be just them wanting to balance the scales out and a win for a win. I think it could be that kind of booking too.
Yeah. I totally agree with you on Shayna Baszler. I was not a huge fan when she got there, and I wasn't even a huge fan of her winning the belt. But since she's had it,
I think
man, she's
actually
made a fan
that
out of me.
match where she won the belt, even though I really didn't care because it was like I was over seeing her and Ember Moon. So, but I think what got me was it made me actually a fan was the part where Ember was doing the whole gimmick work in her arm. And the idea of her like jamming her shoulder in to put it back in, quote unquote, and then when she couldn't fully lock the choke and she's literally grabbing her hair, I was like, I'm sold. That is just awesome storytelling right there.
That was great.
She was very good. Brooke says, why is Finn Balor number 3 on the merch sales? I agree, Brooke. He should probably be way lower. It's one of the, I did that just to get her fired up because she's going to be pissed now. Hopefully this Mae Young Classic adds more to the NXT women's division. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. Let's move on to the tag team titles. What's your thoughts on where we head in the tag team division? We've got the War Raiders. Never mind War Machine.
The
War Raiders.
Love the guys. I've wrestled Row a couple of times. Great
Super guy. Yeah,
super
great guy.
But that name, god damn.
Yeah, War Raiders.
War
I'm not
Raiders?
a fan of.
Yes.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Just stick with War Machine for crying out loud. I don't know what the
I don't know
fucking
why.
big deal is. So, but anyway, got the tag team title match coming up this weekend. What do you think of the state of the tag team division?
Improving, because I think it was. I think it was as well in a transitional period, and we're not out of it yet, but there's more and more depth to it, But honestly, I think the depth is going to come if they keep adding tag teams. I like Heavy Machinery as an act. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not as much as a wrestling duo.
From a sports entertain, they're sports entertaining, Silky.
As
But,
sports
I mean,
entertainers.
I hate the little one.
The little ones,
Oh my
the
God.
little one.
I hate that
guys ever
guy.
watch Fraggle
I mean, I don't hate him personally, but like when I see him, it's just like he's just so over the top that I can't take anything he does seriously.
He's so great, though. He's so great.
No,
though.
he's not.
Yes, I have seen Did you just mention Fraggle Rock?
Yeah, have you guys ever watched Fraggle Rock?
Yeah, man.
Otis there is a Gorg from Fraggle Rock.
That's so
that's
perfect.
exactly what he looks like. He looks
That's
like
perfect.
a Gorg from Fraggle Rock, because I think that's one of the reasons why I like him. Street Profits, I think Montez Ford is great.
Yes.
I feel like he has to dial back a bit his enthusiasm sometimes.
Right.
I think he overperforms. I find Angelo Dawkins and
Angelo Dawkins, yeah.
D'Angelo Dawkins.
D'Angelo, sorry.
D'Angelo Dawkins. I don't see. He hasn't been. I don't find he's been improving all that much.
He's
not
been
really.
there forever.
Yeah, he was like tagging with Jason Jordan.
Yeah, he's been in
Remember?
NXT for a long time.
But here's my thing. It's fucking recycled. It's fucking crime time. Let's just be real. The Street Profits are crime time.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and I just don't like it because I'm not a big fan of like perpetuating stereotypes, especially that's how black people are being portrayed. And I'm not trying to make this a race thing because they do it with all races, but like that's why I just don't like the Street Profits, because they're just a caricature of what they think. I feel like they think people from the hood or black people are.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying.
It's just bad. I mean, in the ring, they're all right as a tag team. I think there could be a little more, chemistry there.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I really like on them.
Welcome to Get the Tables, who just joined us here. What's your take on Bianca Belair?
Bianca Belair?
Bianca Belair, I should say. Sorry,
Yeah.
not Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair? I mean, she's all right. I haven't really seen enough of her to... I mean, they gave her some big hype package, and then it's like you don't even see her. And can someone explain to me how her hair is not considered a weapon?
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
It has to be.
And how does she...
They're gonna make a gimmick with that at some point.
They have to.
I know.
They have to.
Because it's like a belt. Like she is whipping literal every match of hers is a strapman. I remember seeing her work some local chick, and that chick jumped off the second rope, and the sound of that hair hitting her stomach was so loud. I was like, how can that not be a disqualification?
Yeah.
Bianca Belair is a machine. She's super impressive. Apparently, she's injured. I don't know if it's kayfabe or not, but apparently she's been out because of an injury. But honestly, we were talking about the women's division earlier. Let's just give her a couple of more months, and she's going to be on top of that. She's a natural for real, and she wrestles in a style that not many WWE women wrestle in as well, and that makes her refreshing, makes her fresh too.
Yeah.
So apparently,
but we were talking about tag team.
No, I was going to say apparently our boys from Get the Tables are going to gush over the Street Profits.
Yeah.
Apparently, Get the Tables is a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's to each his own, but I'm just not a fan of that.
No, I hear you. You think Mustache Mountain gets the title back? Gets the tag titles back this weekend?
No,
I don't think so.
But it's going to be a hell of a match. This is the match I'm most looking forward to.
Really? Okay. Well, we'll look forward to it as well. Let's talk about Velveteen Dream, another guy who, in a certain respect, kind of falls into that same Adam Cole kind of camp, in that I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a heel. And somebody made the point earlier, and props to you, whoever this was, who said that kids don't give a shit about heels and faces. They just they just like superstars. They just like seeing guys do the stuff. And that's a good point because...
I mean, and he was a great heel. I think what changed it was the match with Aleister Black because that at least, and I know that's what changed him, my view of him.
That story was so good.
Was just top to bottom awesome.
The whole feud.
Yes.
The whole feud.
Totally agree.
I mean, over something, they took basically a simple premise over Aleister Black refusing to say his name. And they had the most captivating story of that whole show.
I'm telling you. And it goes back to, again, it's a simple thing. Just keep it simple.
And I mean, that's what I do like about him is that, he's the throwback to the old school. Like, when he has big matches, like you notice that how he did the Rick Rude style with Aleister Black, where one side was Aleister Black and one side was his face, airbrushed. And then the next one, when he did Ono, he was wearing the boxing because he was doing, Ono does the whole knockout gimmick.
Yeah.
And then with Ricochet, he wore the Prince Puma gear that Ricochet wore in...
Which was awesome.
Lucha Underground.
Hulkamania.
Yeah.
And mixed with Hulkamania.
And they
I didn't understand that part of it. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I do kind of get it. I think you or someone brought it to my attention because, the comparisons to Hogan, Rock in this match. And when they did the standoff, it was just like Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, kind of an homage to those two. Yeah, definitely.
So I also think like he had, when he participated in the old NXT, when he was Patrick whatever, when he was in the old NXT, Hogan actually voted him off. So some people actually saw it as a bit of a fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which we're a fan of in the wrestling business. That's always fun. Thank you, Get the Tables, for the super hearts, and good night to those of you who are joining, helping. Sorry, what the fuck am I saying? I was reading this comment at the same time. Those of you who are leaving, thank you for joining us. I love everything Velveteen does. My only bone with him is his voice and his promo. I don't mind him so much. I mean,
he's doing like the whole Prince gimmick, the whole basically androgynous. But he's like a step under the original Goldust.
Oh, he's definitely a step below that because you can't get away with that shit nowadays.
Yeah, but he still makes you question, but not to the length that Goldust does.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the fact that he can straddle
that
he can straddle
the heel and face thing.
Heel and face. I think that's part of the mystique as well. It's part, if he's androgynous sexually, why couldn't he be androgynous alignment wise?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Do you think, Warren, that this is the new wave of, instead of a heel and a face, having someone that basically can interchange depending on the feud he's in? You think that's the new wave and that's where the business is headed?
Well, I don't know if that's where the business is headed, but that's what WWE is in for.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of that. A lot more of it. Yeah, for sure. And EC3 is another guy. EC3, of course, taking on Velveteen Dream. It's another guy who I felt like had somewhat of a, I don't want to say a lackluster debut, but to me, he was a rung. 100%. He was clearly a rung below the other guys in that tables match that we had in New Orleans. I mean, it's just one guy's opinion, but I felt like
ladder match.
In the ladder match, yeah, there were the other guys in that match. I felt like got these. I mean, the fans were going nuts for every one of them. EC3 to me kind of felt like an afterthought, but to his credit, or to creative's credit, whoever's been doing the work with him, he seems to have turned things around, and I like the direction he's going with his character now.
I mean, I like the character and all, but I think it was just too much. Like, he was destined to get. He was like the dog that followed the fucking Beatles. When you think about it, because there was those three signings. It was War Machine, EC3, and Ricochet, and then you debuted
and Candice.
Oh.
That's right.
And Candice LeRae.
And Candice.
And
Mrs. Gargano, yeah.
And by putting both of them in the match, you knew there's no question Ricochet was the bigger star of the two. No matter what he did in TNA and compared to what, Ricochet has done, Ricochet was a bigger star. So he just eclipsed the debut when you think about it. He basically stole the shine.
It was a tough spot for him to be in.
I would have not put him in that and waited for another takeover where I could put him in something more meaningful so he could be seen as a top star. Because, I mean, they haven't done dick with him really since, and this is the first time they're really doing something with him.
Yeah, and welcome to Dr. Huge. Got to give you an because I don't have my sound saved on here. So thank you for the super hearts as well, sir. Somebody else mentioned in that EC3 is another guy where they don't seem too sure with how they want to book him. But what do you see as far, because if what you're saying is true, Silky, and you put EC3 in a match with a guy like Ricochet where he's clearly going to be outshined, Warren, don't you get the same kind of sense in putting him in a match with a guy like Velveteen Dream? Because you could argue that Dream is as over as anybody in NXT right now, period.
Well, but I think the difference, sorry to interrupt, I think the difference is Dream can carry him to a great match. And, like, his style isn't as high-flying as Ricochet's, isn't as jaw-dropping. He's more subliminal as a wrestler. Like, you're in love with all of the little nuances that he fucking does for his matches versus being in love with all the flips and the tremendous athleticism that Ricochet does. So that's why I think Velveteen Dream is a much better fit for EC3.
You don't think, what do you think, Warren? You think Dream's going to outshine EC3, or you think he's got a shot to get over in this one?
Subliminal. I like that. That's exactly how you can do. That's exactly how you define his work style. I think, you know what? I think they're going to have a fantastic match because right now, and I agree with everything you guys have said, right now EC3 has not had the platform to shine, and I think he has it. He has it within Velveteen Dream, who is a guy who is bulletproof as far as the NXT universe, the fans go. The guy could lose 60 matches in a row. They'd still kiss the ground and call it ice cream behind him. That's just how it is. But, EC3, how sometimes we talk about certain guys or girls on NXT who are, more of a main roster thing.
Right.
EC3 is a main roster guy.
That's a good point.
I think I think it's okay that they brought him into NXT sort of just to build his brand and have him enter the WWE consciousness, I guess. But his gimmick, his thing, he's a grand stage kind of guy.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
I agree with that. I don't know how well he would work if they had moved him straight to the main roster. Because, and that could just be me. Idea. Yeah, that could just be me because of the fact that, I wasn't a big fan of EC3 when he was in
TNA.
In TNA.
Yeah, Dr. Hughes says he reminds me of Macho Man in the ring, a little overzealous, Brooke. Says EC3 doesn't seem too appealing. He's one of those guys, and it's interesting you bring that up, Warren, because I was just thinking last night about how far Elias has come. And, he didn't get this huge push in NXT. He got a little bit of a push, but it was like all of a sudden... I
honestly don't remember Elias.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he was gone, and everybody said, what happened to that guy Elias? Oh, he's going to the main roster. And everybody went, what the fuck, really?
But it's the same thing and on another scale with No Way Jose. Because let's be honest, the party larger than life gimmick that he had for Full Sail, maybe got the smiles and chuckles, but it
doesn't work
in that context.
Yeah.
He's someone that you go put him up there and you have him do the Adam Rose thing. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. And before we get out of here, we're running a little short on time, but we got to make sure to get to the NXT Championship match. Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. No reason to think that these guys aren't going to tear the house down again, but you made a face there, Warren. Those of you listening on the podcast couldn't see it, but so what's your take on Ciampa Gargano? Are you souring on this feud here, Warren, already?
I'm just sour that Aleister Black is out. That's my that's on me. I'm just having trouble getting over it. But it sucks because I really felt the triple threat was a nice diversion in this feud. You keep the feud going, but you add another top guy in here to get the sheen. Because since Aleister has been champion, he hasn't main evented a single takeover because
which is crazy.
He's under. Holy smokes! Besides, who in NXT right now can be bigger than Ciampa Gargano?
They literally have the best feud in WWE, not just NXT. Only thing probably measures up is maybe Miz and Daniel Bryan as a feud.
Yeah, as a feud just because of longevity, and you could go over to New Japan and talk about the infighting and the Bullet Club, but as far as just wrestling all together, it's as good as we've got right now. I've argued in the past that I feel like NXT has done a good job of keeping this feud somewhat fresh because they've upped the stakes every time. You know, the first time we had the match for Gargano to get his way back into NXT, then we had the street fight, and now the title's on the line.
It was non-sanctioned street fight, and now Last Man Standing.
Yeah, and Last Man Standing we got here as well. So you got to think, though, with these guys getting over as much as they did with this particular feud, is there anything left for them in NXT once this feud is over, or do you see whoever's done with this moving on their way to wherever they go next?
No, Ciampa's not done in NXT yet. Oh no,
I don't think Ciampa is.
No. Gargano, it'll be interesting. But look, if there's one thing we talk about WWE creative, right, and how it breaks our heart sometimes, most of the time. But as far as NXT creative goes, I have complete faith. Look at the turnaround that they did with Aleister Black's injury, deciding to make a whodunit story that is supposed to stretch out right until Aleister returns. I mean, that is making motherfucking lemonade out of lemons right there. So what is the next step? I am ready to let myself be surprised. I don't think it's going to be Ciampa Gargano 4. I don't think that's going to be the natural progression. Yeah. What is going to be the natural progression? Up until this stage, they've kept me entertained, surprised, and the only reason we're getting these two fighting each other again is because of an accident, because of a legit injury.
Yeah.
Otherwise, adding Aleister into the mix here was brilliant.
Yeah,
and the way they did it was flawless.
Yeah.
I have complete faith for what goes on after. But I agree. What do they do with Johnny Gargano after that? I hope it's not Maine.
What do you see? Who you got winning this one? You think Gargano wins the title, or you got Ciampa retaining?
Oh, hell no, Ciampa
all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. I think Ciampa's got to hang on to it. At least for a little while.
Like I often say, my heart says Johnny, but my brain says Ciampa, and I book with my brain.
There you go. Exactly. All right, Warren. Well, we are getting close to the top of the hour. About time for us to get out of here. But thank you so much for being with us again, Mr. Warren Hayes. That's at Mr. Warren Hayes on Twitter. And tell the folks where they can find you to listen to the live shows, watch the live streams, Fightful.com. Give us all that information one more time.
tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. That takes you to my own personal stuff. Twitter is also the headquarters. You can find me on Fightful.com. I do all sorts of content there, all sorts of video content, but especially on the subscription service, FightfulSelect.com, where I do weekly 205 Live and NXT reviews. I do monthly retro reviews with Sean Ross Sapp over there, and all sorts of spontaneous things as well. I covered the G1. I'm going to be doing the post takeover show on Saturday over on Fightful.com. It's crazy, man. They're keeping me busy. That's fantastic.
That's a good problem to have. Well, check him out at Warren Hayes at Mr. Warren Hayes on Twitter. And make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe to our show as well, whether you're on the YouTubes, on Periscope, wherever you happen to be listening to the podcast, check it out. And, of course, tomorrow, one last reminder, we will be at the big show with Brian Cage joining us live. So that's tomorrow. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, over at the Periscopes as well, wherever you happen to want to watch us. Talk to Brian Cage, the X Division champion. Make sure to do so. So, before we get out, Silky, anything else for the people before we leave?
August 26th, Katie's Elks Lodge. Come see me punch people several times around the facial region.
For the Benchmark, Silky Baines, at Mr. Warren Hayes. We'll see you next time on the Speeds and the Benchmark Show. Good night, everybody.